What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Time Game Day live show here. John Impemba with Britt, Flinn, taking you into week 2 of the NFL and fantasy football season. Britt, how we doing?
Yeah, not gonna lie, last night was a little rough. Losing to BYU was not ideal, but we shake off college football, and that's why we get into NFL Sundays. So
Yeah,
I'm ready to shake it off.
I was up fairly late watching the phenomena that is Colorado. So
Yeah.
I was prepared for them to lose when they went down 11. That team had no quit, and good on them for winning, because it would have been quite embarrassing having you come out to Lil Wayne and having Dwayne The Rock Johnson there, and I think Migos was the entire celebrity crew was all there at Colorado. What are the odds of going to Boulder for all of those people to show up? And they didn't really look good for a very long time in that game. They lost Travis Hunter, and then miraculously Sanders there with a 98-yard drive to lead them down the field. So this isn't a college football show, but we got to talk about some of the wild things that happened on Saturday. We do have a lot to get to today, as I see some people jumping into chat here. Tommy getting the game, welcoming us in here in the morning. Britt, what's your initial takeaways and top stories for today?
So I'm a little bit worried about Peter Skoronski being declared inactive for the Titans, because that's how you attack the Chargers, and their offensive line was already a little bit stretched thin, and we've already been looking for the decline of Derrick Henry. And I'm not going to lie, I had a dream 2 nights ago that Derrick Henry tore his ACL today.
No, do not put that juju out there.
So the fact that Skoronski is out, I'm like, is this going to happen? What's going on? And so that's just me being neurotic. But that DeAndre Hopkins not practicing all week with the ankle, just a couple really stressful situations going on in week 2 of the NFL that I don't know if I'm prepared for.
Yeah, listen, there's definitely a lot to talk about. This week, week 1 was not kind to many of us in fantasy football. Aaron Rodgers injury aside, J.K. Dobbins obviously went down with the Achilles injury. And then this week, Austin Eckler gets injured. And, we're dealing with more players that we drafted and hoped would be in our lineups. And week 2, they're not. And, a lot of people scrambling. We had, a lot of interesting fab bids this week. Puka Nacua going for 70 to 80% of some people's fab budgets this week. And then he shows up on the injury report. Christian Watson still hasn't found his way onto a field yet. He's unlikely to play based off the latest reports from Adam Schefter. Amari Cooper yesterday hurts his groin. And here we go again with maybe Amari Cooper and his nagging injury problems after a healthy last year. So, again, there's a lot to talk about here today, and the injury report obviously will come out. We'll have the inactives. If you stick with us here at the Better Sports Network all day long, obviously you have myself and Britt here for the next hour. You come back at 11, myself and Andrew Cooper. We'll take you through the inactives and all the latest injury updates that are there to get you all ready for NFL Sunday. I see questions obviously rolling into chat. We'll hit those for you all. Better Boss, Matt's in there, Rob's in there. Threw it in our Discord if you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family. Now's your time to go ahead and join. You sign up today, you get a 7-day free trial. You can scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description. You get a 7-day free trial. You get access to all of our NFL DFS content, not only for today, but the 7-day free trial means you'll get it for next week as well. So basically get 2 weeks of NFL DFS content for free here if you sign up today. And then, of course, Britt, you've been partaking in our Bettercast stuff that we have going on. It's a great opportunity. We're gamifying week 2 of the NFL season. The pregame questions are live right now. You can answer those and get a head start on those that are going to be in the Bettercast today, watching the games, answering those questions with you. Get the pregame questions answered now. If you scan the QR code on the screen, or you can click the link in the description of the show today, you can go ahead and download the Bettercast app for free. You can join the Bettercast for games on Sunday and predict what will happen to test your NFL knowledge. You'll chat with our community. Myself, Britt, Flinn, Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper, the whole crew is usually in there watching these games, reacting to what's going on, and answering these questions in these contests with you as well. There's no purchase necessary at all. It's always completely free to play here. The more questions you answer, the more tickets you win. and you'll be able to redeem those tickets for authentic NFL signed gear and collectibles. So download the Bettercast today. It's free in the Apple iTunes Store and the Google Play Store there. So again, scan the QR code on the screen, go to the description and click the link there, and become a member of join the Bettercast today. Britt, again, more questions are starting to roll in. We'll get to one early here from our guy here, Rob. He wants to know PPR, need one RB and two flex. James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, Romeo Doubs, Kenneth Walker, AJ Dillon.
I think James Cook is an automatic play, especially with how the Bills are going to be on a mission today to, shake off the dust of last Monday night's game. They should have a very good game, and the game script should be pretty positive for them. I think that Doubs is going to be a guy without even disregarding his snap share last week because he was on a snap count. And then probably AJ Dillon. I don't like playing two guys from the same team, but with Aaron Jones out, I think that he's going to get all the work, and that's what you need from a bell cow. So I don't know. How do you feel about playing two guys from the same team?
If I think it's going to be a high scoring game, I am good with it. I think that this could be a spot against, Atlanta where, I think less of the Carolina offense than I do maybe the Green Bay offense. What we saw last week from Atlanta's defense, maybe what we saw from Green Bay was just closer to the reality than Atlanta's defense played. So I'd be willing to give it a go here and give them, again, no Christian Watson again here, and AJ Dillon. So my one hang up is that I do really like the running backs that he has. So that's tough because I really like the Bills today. I think you're in a good spot to run the ball against Las Vegas. Kenneth Walker, I think, is in a sneaky spot against Detroit. A lot of people like the Detroit side of that game, and nobody's playing any of Seattle. So if you're in GPP, well, this isn't a DFS show. This is not DFS question. It's a seasonal. So,
but with Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross out, is the running game even going to be a thing?
It's true. I mean, they still ran with some success last week, even after they lost their offensive lineman against the Rams. I think if I'm going need one and two flex, probably Cook, Dillon, and Doubs, I think is where I go.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yep. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm in a full-on agreement with you here with that as well. So, Rob, good luck today with your contest. If you guys are tuning in, you have any questions, feel free to throw them in chat. Britt and I are more than happy to help you all out today. Britt, let's talk about some of the other headlines here that we got going on. As we mentioned, some of the injury guys who are out. Jerry Jeudy is set to make his season debut after missing last week. Now, the Broncos also placed Greg Dulcich on IR. What are your expectations for Jeudy today in his debut?
I think Jeudy should be fine. Also, please respect my privacy during this very difficult time that Greg Dulcich is now on IR, because I have been one of the loudest shouters of Greg Dulcich in the offseason. But I think that Jeudy will make that offense a little more, not going to say tolerable, but tolerable. I think that he's going to spread the ball around a little bit more. He'll be able to open some things up, but it still just feels icky. You don't feel confident going into today's game with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm feeling. Again, I do like the idea of this offense with Denver. So I'm excited to see kind of what we can get. They looked good in the first half last week. I mean, Russell Wilson had 125 and 2 scores, and then didn't really do anything. They had 3 total offensive drives in the second half of that game and weren't able to get much going. So, I'm curious to see how that plays. What are your thoughts on Adam Trautman today? Some people I see maybe thinking of him as a sleeper play or a plug and play with Dulcich out.
You can play him in DFS. That's fine. But as far as season long goes, Adam Trautman is so much of an inline blocker type of guy. I would not be racing to waivers to pick him up. I would not be trying to really do much of anything. And I feel with Judy back that that's even going to cut down his snap share and his target share. And I think that we're just looking for gold in the wrong places with Troutman.
Yeah, people are looking obviously at the connection that they had with New Orleans, and like, oh, maybe this is the spot to kind of get him in here with against Washington this week. We do have some more questions coming in chat, so let's get to these here so people are not waiting around. Ethan here says, "Good morning. A half PPR, one wide receiver, one flex. Sky Moore, Christian Kirk, Jamal Williams, Samaje Perine, and Kendrick Bourne."
Ooh, that one's tough. I think I have to go with Williams and Bourne here. Might be the Gen Z no explanation situation, but just based on gut feeling, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you have obviously Christian Kirk last week. Many fantasy managers were disappointed, shocked, surprised that he was playing behind Zay Jones there. He only saw 60% of the offensive snaps. Zay Jones played 90%. Calvin Ridley played 80%. Obviously, Engram was out there every play. So it was Kirk coming off the field when they went into those two wide receiver set situations. A lot of people do like getting exposure to that game today against Kansas City, but you can't really rely on someone that's not going to be out there, for 40% of the offensive snaps. Now, Doug Peterson came out, and I think it was the offensive coordinator said, they'd like to get him more involved. He does really well against man coverage, and, that's what Kansas City likes to play. But, it's hard to trust. Sky Moore, hard to trust with Travis Kelce back. So, yeah, I'll lean Jamal Williams, and I'll go with Bourne as well. He looked really good. I wrote this up 2 years ago. He and Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne had a breakout season. Matt Patricia basically tanked the offense last week, and then a real offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, goes in there, and he has 2 touchdowns against an Eagles defense that's supposed to be pretty good. So I'll ride with Bourne and Williams with you there as well. Sleepy Tim here. Good morning. Scary T, Pickens, St. Brown, Flinn, Nakua need 3.5 PPR. Well, you're definitely playing Amon-Ra St. Brown. We can certainly check that box off here. But what are your thoughts on McLaurin, Pickens, Thielen, and Nakua?
I don't know if any of these guys are healthy. Pickens showed up on the injury report yesterday. Nakua's been dealing with an oblique injury. Thielen just showed up, and he's old as dirt.
Right.
Scary T is still dealing with a toe, and he's going to have Pat Surtain all over him. You know what? Just spin the wheel, because I don't like any of these other options outside of St. Brown.
I know people want to play Nakua because they just spend all their fab money on him, but our matchup against the 49ers does not feel like the optimal spot to do so. I think I would still ride out Pickens and McLaurin just because I think they're the most talented of the wide receivers in this group. So go with the first 3 for me, McLaurin, Pickens, and St. Brown, and just hope that they can stay healthy long enough to, produce for you here. Our guy Sellers in the chat, do we like Kincaid or Laporta today there, Britt?
This is very hard for me, as my team name is Laporta Potty Romper Stompers. I think I'm leaning Laporta, and I've battled with myself about this exact lineup decision, but yeah, I think the over-under.
Laporta for me, the over-under is there, but no Jamal Adams for Seattle I think is a big deal. Because they are getting Devin Witherspoon back, so you're going to see a top 5 pick this year. Back on the field for this Seattle defense, for the Seahawks defense rather, locking up one of the wide receivers, or at least going to attempt to lock up one of the wide receivers. And I think they'll leave Laporta with one of the more favorable matchups. I know Andrew Cooper had some hesitations on Laporta because they did have him block. I think they said on like 15% of the pass plays. I know Coop wants every tight end to run 100% of the pass plays, but not always the reality on a team that runs as much as Detroit does. But I'll go with Laporta here as well. Tommy's saying go get Trotman today. He's a cheap DFS dart. Ethan wants to know, do you have the Jets D against Dallas or the Browns D this week against Pittsburgh?
No, I actually personally am starting the Browns D.
Okay.
I drafted them, and it's in a really wonky league. I just don't think that the Jets, with their quarterback situation, with anything, are going to be able to actually do it. Like, their defense is great, but I think their offense is going to give up too many points, and that's why I'm steering away from them.
Yeah, we could have. I've battled with this one a lot. I'm actually playing the Jets in DFS this week because they're pretty cheap. They're only $2,700 on DraftKings, and they just shut down the Bills offense, right? So like we talked, you and I went back and forth a little bit on Twitter about the Josh Allen interceptions and the Dak Prescott reception. Well, Dak Prescott still does turn the football over a lot. So now you're going up against a Jets defense that just turned Josh Allen over 4 times. But to your point, if the Cowboys defense does what they did to the Giants offense, and it's just short field after short field or defensive touchdowns, those are all knocking points away from your defense. So I'm going to go the Browns here this week as well. But don't give up on the Jets. That defense feels pretty elite to me here. AS and Chad, Amari, Cooper, Alan Lazard, Calvin Austin, MVS, Reed, Deion Jackson need a flex and a half PPR. This is quite a crew of players here.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper popped up yesterday with that groin injury, so I would pretty much just rule him out. Oof.
Yeah, it might be Jaden Reed for me.
I think it has to be. It feels gross and it feels uncertain, but I mean, he has the most upside out of anybody in this list.
Yeah, your only other option here is to wait out the Amari Cooper news. If he doesn't play, you play Calvin Austin. Obviously, Deontay Johnson's going to miss the next 4 weeks. We saw Allen Robinson actually have a pretty decent game, believe it or not, last week. I don't know if there's anything to read into that or not, but Calvin Austin was also on the field there. So they took Calvin Austin in the 3rd round last year, something like that. So, if you want to wait on Amari and have Calvin as your fallback plan, you certainly can. If you want to play one of the other guys, it's Reed for us today. Ash in chat here, have A-Chain, Dubs, and Bateman stashed on my bench. Do I drop any to bring in Roshan Johnson, Gallup, Calvin Austin, or Justice Hill?
No, sit tight.
Yeah,
these guys are stash plays. They have high upside, much more than Michael Gallup. And that's coming from a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gallup will get an opportunity, obviously, with Cooks to miss at least this week, but the rest of that group, and it's not even a great spot to start Michael Gallup this week. So yeah, hang tight there. Just throw him on your watch list. Rob here wants to know PPR Sutton or Dubs today.
That one's a tough one. I actually am kind of leaning Dubs, even though he's on a snap share or a snap count. That Denver secondary is really, really good. And with Judy coming back, I don't know that he's going to get the work that he even got last week.
Yeah, that's certainly the thing, right? I mean, again, I'm bullish on the Denver offense a little bit, but I do think that Dubs is probably in the better game script here. So go Dubs for me this week as well. Kevin, we need one, Algier or Breece Hall in a PPR league?
Algier all the way this week. Now going forward, not great.
Right.
But Breece Hall is still on a snap count. Algier is going up against Green Bay, who did give up, a decent amount of rushing yards. And I think that they're still easing Bijan Robinson into that offense. This week, it's definitely Algier.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you 100%. I think that there's a really good chance to see Algier continue that red zone work that he got last week,
100%. Now, in week 4 or 5, we're going to be flipping scripts, but right now it is Algier.
Yeah, Breece Hall against the Cowboys doesn't really, tickle me either. I will say they'll probably run a lot more now with Zach Wilson at quarterback than we were expecting. They have a mammoth offensive line there in New York, so we could be proven wrong. I mean, Breece Hall gashed, the Bills defense last week, so we'll see what happens. Mark here wants to know, need 2 RBs, Brian Robinson, Montgomery, Akers, and Mostert.
Oh, man. Montgomery. I think I still have to go with Montgomery just because we don't know what's going on with Gibbs. We want to see Gibbs do well and succeed, but until I see that usage, I'm still not out on Montgomery. It disappeared.
Oh,
Who are the rest? Mostert,
Yeah,
Akers?
Montgomery, Mostert, Robinson, Akers here. Need 2.
Definitely not Akers. I guess I'm just gonna have to go Mostert just out of necessity. But I
Yeah.
don't feel great about it.
I don't love, like you said, I don't love running Brian Robinson against Denver. Montgomery's a yes, and then you just take your shot with Mostert against the Patriots run D, even though the Patriots run D looked pretty damn good last week against Philly. So you got to hope maybe they're focusing more on shutting down Tyreek Hill today and letting the Dolphins kind of just run and kill some clock that way. So that's where I'll go. I'll go Mostert and Montgomery today as well. I would like to see if Akers can regain any semblance of form and not Kyron Williams, but I don't know if against the 49ers is the spot to do that either. Sellers pulling out your heartstrings here. Traylon Burks or Gabe Davis?
It's gross. Sellers is trying to bait me here.
Yeah.
He really is. I feel like I still have to go with Burks because I do not trust Gabe Davis. The 52% completion percentage does not do it for me.
Yeah.
Also, I think that game script is going to be a big thing, and I think that James Cook is going to be a thing. Burks is going to have to be it by necessity, although I don't like it because I don't like betting on the Razorbacks or on my Razorback players.
Yeah, I'm going to go Burks. I don't know DeAndre Hopkins is fully healthy enough maybe to stay out there for the whole game today. And I think if they find themselves in a shootout against the Chargers, which could happen, Burks is going to be the one to benefit from there, where I think the Raiders are just going to, I think the Raiders are going to get rounded by Buffalo today. So Gabe might not be as important here. Mark, what a question. Got offered a trade. Zay Flowers and Elijah Mitchell for London and Akers. London and Akers. I mean, Flowers might be the best player in that deal right now. So I don't know if I want to. I mean, you're getting Flowers. I don't like trading a pure backup for a pure backup running back. That feels like a little bit too much to give up for me, Mark, even though I do like Flowers a lot. Mitchell is a 0 unless CMC gets hurt. So it's probably no for me.
I don't know. We saw Mitchell actually have like the bulk of the rushing work last season when they brought in McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And then they've said that they want to limit McCaffrey's touches so that he can be, more sustainable. Sellers in the chat says, "Oh yeah, Gibbs news just broke." Don't know what that means, buddy.
Gibbs news?
But I think that Mitchell is going to have a role as long as he's healthy. I don't like Akers. I'm not a huge fan of him. And last week it confirmed with his yards per carry. London, until the targets, get back on track, I think I would take that trade.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Again, obviously Mitchell's an elite handcuff. We just didn't really see that role from him in week 1. But, if Akers ends up losing his job, then you want Flowers over to London, I think. I don't know if Sellers is replying to the Tom Pelissaro just tweeted something that was mentioned a lot this week. Look for a bigger role from Jahmyr Gibbs this week. He played just 19 snaps in week 1. Montgomery still expected to be the lead horse in the backfield, according to Pelissaro. So, we figured that was reported a lot. Dan Campbell said basically after week 1, look for Jahmyr Gibbs to see his role expand. I love Gibbs in DFS this week. No one's playing him. Montgomery is actually the second expected highest rostered running back this week behind Joshua Kelly. We'll talk about that in a moment. So I was in PPR formats. Jahmyr Gibbs felt just like a great play today. He almost scored last week. I looked at that highlight a bunch of times to make sure I wasn't like misremembering the play. And no, he cut to the outside. If he didn't just trip over his own feet, no defender on Kansas City was touching him to the end there. So I look for him to go there. Matt here wants to know Anthony Richardson or Fields today. I go Richardson, I think, today.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody who drafted Justin Fields, I would go Richardson too. With the Texans. And I don't believe in Fields. He looked very off last week.
Yeah, it's again, another spot where I want to be more bullish on them, but I don't know if on the road against Tampa Bay is where I want to go this week. I think I also saw, didn't the Bears today, one of their offensive linemen got ruled out too. So like that just worries me a little bit about Fields. And I have Fields in a handful of leagues this season. So Nate Davis, the right guard, is out today for it's not great against a defensive line in Tampa Bay, which is pretty okay. So go Richardson today against Houston for me. Mr. Pole Cash here, McLaurin or Jackson Smith and Jigba today.
Oh, you have to go with McLaurin, I guess, but with Surtain on him, I'm not particularly bullish on either one. Yuck.
I'm trying to see what the snap count was for JSN last week.
It was decent, but
again, I'm also a little flag planty on this game today. I like the Seattle and Detroit game here. Let's see, what did he do? He played 60% of the offensive snaps. Obviously didn't do too much because Seattle's team offense didn't do much of anything, but I kind of feel like that might turn around. A lot of people look at what Lions defense did against KC and they're like, oh, look what they did. They held down KC, their offense. But like reality, that was more self-inflicted issues by Kansas City. Kadarius Toney dropped a bunch of passes. Sky Moore dropped a bunch of passes. If they catch even half of those balls, we might be talking about Detroit's defense a little bit differently. John Wheeler saying Baker for president. I do have Baker Mayfield on my value video today. It pains me. I've probably been the biggest Baker Mayfield hater since he essentially entered the league. I thought he's just been wildly overrated. I don't think he's a good quarterback. But I also don't think the Bears defense is any good. And the fact that you have Tampa Bay at home, I like Mike Evans. I like Chris Godwin for Baker this week in DFS. I think he's worthy of a play. Unless you had Aaron Rodgers and no backup quarterback, I don't think I'm playing Baker over any other starting quarterback this week, but I guess that could also be discussed here. AS wants to do Freiermuth or Musgrave here.
I think I'm going Musgrave.
Okay.
I really like his usage last week. Freiermuth is still dealing with a chest injury. Cleveland did a pretty good job on their defense of shutting everybody down last week. With Christian Watson out, I think that Musgrave sees an increased role even over last week. So I know that it's a little wonky to be looking at a rookie tight end, but I think that he's the guy.
Yeah, I know that Coop is higher on Freiermuth this week because of Deontay Johnson. So he thinks that maybe there's more opportunity for him to catch football. But Musgrave, I think, has a better matchup, especially since we saw Hayden Hurst last week. He actually had success against Atlanta, so I'm willing to go there. So Better Boss says Raiders defense is a DFS winner. I don't believe that, but maybe not for me, but for you, ride it out, go for it. It is a GPP, so DFS, anything's possible. Bryce Young or Zach Wilson in a super flex. Would you drop Tannehill for Stroud? Well, Stroud may not even play today, right? Like they're going to evaluate his shoulder ahead of games. So I don't like that. It's probably Bryce Young, as awful as that sounds today, right?
Yeah, it feels very gross, but he has the most upside out of anybody. But prayers to you and may the force be with you.
Yeah, right. Good. It is super play. Listen, it is super flex. You don't have to play a quarterback in your super flex spot. I don't know what the rest of your lineup goes into, but Coop and I have had long discussions about this. Sometimes it's okay to not use a quarterback. This would be one of those times where there's a chance that none of these quarterbacks score more than 10 fantasy points today. So if you have a wide receiver or running back, maybe on your bench in a good spot, you can use them in your super flex. It is okay to do so. Let's see here. Tommy with his Raiders propaganda talking about the Raiders. That's not going to happen. Luke here. Doves, Pitts, or Herbert in the flex. Khalil Herbert, Pitts, or Doves for PPR.
I think I still have to go Dubs. It doesn't feel great, but I don't like Kyle Pitts' usage. The Bears running back room is pretty much just all the way up in the air. So I think I would still have to go Dubs.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, listen, I hope and pray for the day that Kyle Pitts is utilized the way he's supposed to be, but it may not be until he's out of Atlanta or Arthur Smith is fired. And if Atlanta keeps making the playoffs or contends for the playoffs, I don't know if Smith's going to go anywhere soon. Can't go Herbert. That Mac feels too messy. So Romeo it is. Ghost here. Flex PPR, Puka, Brown, Doves, or Reynolds. Reynolds is one of my darlings this week. What's your take on this?
So I really don't know. I want to hear a little bit more on why Reynolds is your darling.
Listen, I love the fact that he was second in wide receiver snaps counts last week. He was second in targets. He actually led the team in yards last week over Amon-Ra St. Brown. He had a lot of success last season when healthy in this offense. He has that connection with Jared Goff. And again, I'm looking at this matchup here against the Seahawks team that, like I said, while they're getting Weatherspoon back, I feel like there's a chance that ends up being the Amon-Ra St. Brown coverage. And this is a defense that just allowed Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell to go for 100 yards each. So I think Josh Reynolds is kind of an underlying play, but probably more for DFS. Romeo Doubs is probably the one I would start of the group, but I do like Josh Reynolds. I picked up Josh Reynolds in a lot of leagues this week where I had some injuries that I had to end up finding a way to start some guys. Amari Cooper, couldn't wait it out. Picked up Josh Reynolds, starting Josh Reynolds this week. So something that I'm looking at here.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it feels gross, but yep.
Yeah, it is. I would agree with you, but I can't go Puka against the 49ers. Can't go Marquise Brown against the Giants here. So Doubs or Reynolds, and Reynolds is where I went, but I like Doubs as well. So let's see. Getting the games to Sutton look good. I would agree with you, but again, we'll see what happens against Washington today. Beat it down. George Pickens, Tyler Lockett, DJ Moore, Brian Robinson in a non-PPR.
You know, DJ Moore has had the Buccaneers number his entire career. And with Carlton Davis out, I really think that DJ Moore is going to have a good game today. So I'm leaning towards him. I know that it's a little bit risky, but I think that he's going to have just a blow up day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's especially non-PPR. It's Lockett or Moore for me. You said Moore there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would give Moore a look. Again, I do like that game. Again, I'm bullish. I feel like, but I might just be like too DFS committed on Seattle today. So we'll see if Moore can get it done for you there. Beat it down. Danny in the chat wants to know 12 team, 1 RB, 1 flex, Pacheco, McKinnon, Dotson, Herbert, Sutton, Edwards, and Moore. Now, Elijah Moore obviously becomes more appealing with the Amari Cooper news, but can you wait it out to find out if Amari Cooper doesn't play, or would you start anyone else from the group here?
Yeah, I would start Elijah Moore regardless. I think that, his rapport with Deshaun Watson is, has been good reportedly. So I think with that Amari Cooper news, then he automatically goes up in your lineup. And I think I would also go Dotson.
Dotson's interesting. I'm curious as to what we saw out of Jacoby Myers last week. Was that an exposed weakness in Denver's coverage? Was that just the game plan for the Las Vegas Raiders that made Myers so successful here? Not that you're going to see Dotson sort of line up in the same sense that Jacoby Myers does, but like who on Washington this week ends up being that guy? And if Sutton has it, or not Sutton, but if McLaurin is still not 100% and has a tougher matchup, it definitely could be Dotson this week, especially since I asked Coop when I was building some lineups his thoughts on Logan Thomas this week, and he's actually not in on Logan Thomas. He thinks Denver has one of the better coverage guys on opposing tight end. So if McLaurin is locked up and Thomas is locked up, that basically leaves Dotson or Curtis Samuel today as maybe someone that could find success. So 1 running back, 1 flex, Dotson, and did you go Pacheco there?
Oh, wait. No, sorry. I misread the question.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got to go Pacheco for running backs, but
I would agree.
Then I would go Moore.
You'd wait on Moore? Okay. Because I guess at the very least, he's the number 2, right? Mm-hmm. He's not going to be a nobody. So, all right. Yeah, I can ride with that there. Chad TTV here got a dire dynasty situation here. Sold out depth for Bijan. Now Eckler out 1 spot. He needs Palmer, Booty, Hyatt, Latavius Murray, Ahmed. Question mark Mostert. Do you have Mostert? He's leaning Palmer against the Bears D. That's pretty tough. Latavius Murray did get more snaps than Damian Harris last week. Booty, could have had a touchdown, couldn't get a foot down. So that's tough. I don't know if Salvin Ahmed gets much work though. So it might be Booty or I guess Palmer. Where are you feeling on that?
Yeah, this is out of my league. This is too down and dirty for me. Yeah, Booty, I
I
guess.
think I would go Booty, honestly. I think he has a better chance of playing. Devontae Parker is still questionable and a little banged up. For all reports this week, even Juju Smith-Schuster was, not really out there. Again, Booty looked good. He just college game. You gotta get 2 feet in, not one. Mm-hmm. And if it was college, he had a touchdown and he had a game-saving catch at the end of that one against Philly. But I think he'll learn from that rookie game 1 mistake there, and you'll start seeing him make some plays. I think it's wild that he was, ranked as one of the top college wide receivers during his freshman, sophomore year, and then just sort of got hurt and then fell way out of the picture there for LSU. But he was on those loaded LSU teams there for a little bit. Adam here wants to know Debo, Higgins, Ayuk.
I think I'm going Higgins and Ayuk. I think Higgins is going to bounce back from that 8 target, 0 catch game. Mm-hmm. And if you guys have been watching anything, y'all know that I'm very high on Ayuk being over Samuel.
Yeah, that's definitely the one thing I would agree with here. Again, we've seen Ayuk really take over. Debo's fine. I know Howard Bender is actually pretty high on Debo Samuel this week because he does really well against zone defenses, and that's all that the Rams play. So he's actually been putting Debo in DFS lineups over Brandon Ayuk. But how do you not play Ayuk after what happened last week? I find it hard to believe that Brandon Ayuk can't beat a zone either. So I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk there, and Higgins is not going to goose egg you 2 weeks in a row here. So we got a tight end question: Njoku or Kincaid?
I think Njoku blocked far too much last week. I'm going to go Kincaid.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kincaid here as well. I will say, again, you're not going to have the luxury of knowing. If Amari Cooper is out, Njoku would be a much more appealing play, but you're just not going to know in time. So go with Kincaid here against the Raiders. I do like that spot against them. Beat It Down wants to know Geno or Carr today. I'm going Geno. I think Seattle's in for a sleeping bounce back here.
Yeah, it's gross. Yeah, let's go Geno. I don't even, feels nasty to even say it.
Yeah, I'm going to go Geno. I like Geno this week. We have Zachary Churkin here. Eckler, Watson, and JT are obviously out. Unfortunate. I feel your pain there. I got Watson and Eckler in a handful of leagues myself. Who do I start? Samaje Perine, Gus Edwards, and an RB2 this week.
I would go Perine. I think that, he split enough with Williams at the flex. Man, dude, this is awful.
Yeah, I go Perine for the PPR as well. And then Juju, Robinson, or Slayton at your flex. I think Robinson's where I go.
I didn't want to say it out loud, but I'm glad that you did because that's who I was leaning as well.
I'm going to go Allen Robinson. And you know what? Listen, maybe he's revitalized his career. Who knows? Our guy Dan here. Again, Dan, am I playing? No, I'm not playing you this week, so I can answer this question for you. Kelly, Mostert, or Algier in a PPR?
I think Algier this week. Again, I don't think that this is going to continue past week 4 or 5, but this week he's still going to be a viable guy.
Yeah. Kelly, I feel like is the obvious waiver pickup, but I think it's a trap spot for him here this week. Again, I think Tennessee's defense is kind of okay against the run. We saw them hold down Jamal Williams last week, and you have the Chargers coming across country here. I worry a little bit as well. Chiggy Okonkwo, Kincaid, Musgrave are likely if Andrews is out. Well, Andrews is expected to play today, so I think likely is out of the question here. But Chig, Kincaid, or Musgrave here, Britt?
I'm still very bullish on Musgrave today. I think that matchup is just primed for a breakout. Had he not dropped that one ball, it was deep last week, we would all be singing his praises. And I think that this is the day that he gets it done.
I would agree with you. I think this is a good spot for him. So I'll ride that out. That's good for me. PPR, McLaurin or JSN? I forget if we answered this one already.
I feel like we did.
Did we go McLaurin? I think we did, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, McLaurin. Sutton, Zay Jones, or Nico Collins today. Again, you got to watch the quarterback situation. But if it's Davis Mills, is that better for Nico Collins? I don't even know.
It's gross. It's so gross. Why am I waking up on Sunday and dealing with grossness? Because that's how it feels to me. I think honestly, I would go Zay Jones.
Yeah, Zay Jones is where I'm going. 90% of the offensive snaps last week, gets a spot here against Kansas City. Daryl, Pitts or Ferguson today? Put your Cowboys fandom aside here. What are your thoughts?
He makes a very good point. I know the talent difference, but Dak actually targets Ferg.
True. Listen, Pitts made some plays when they threw to him 3 times last week, right?
Yeah, 3 times is great. It's awesome. Yeah, oh man. This is where the start
it's
your
the
studs.
Jets defense, though, for me. That's my worry. The Jets defense.
I know. It's
but you could get a legit.
I was gonna say this is where your start your studs and your matchups like just collide. I would still say start Pitts.
Yeah, I think I'm starting Pitts.
But it hurts.
It's not good. I mean, listen, he had 2 catches, one went for 34 yards. He's a really good player. He's like a generational tight end talent that is just in a team that has zero interest in using him whatsoever. Why did you draft him? Should have drafted an offensive lineman, right? Like, dude, I don't know. Draft a defensive player. Who did you draft over instead of Kyle Pitts? That's why we got to go back and look at that draft class. Who was still on the board when Kyle Pitts was taking if you had no interest in using him? Super curious there. Geno or Richardson today? This one, I think we go Richardson.
Yep. Absolutely agree.
Pick one for a full PPR flex. Kelly Godwin, Miles Sanders, Nico Collins, Puka Nacua.
I mean, go Godwin.
Yeah.
Because he's still the legit guy. The rest of these guys are like waiver wire fodder.
Yeah, Sanders has a tough spot against the Saints defense today, so he can't really run against them. So Godwin's a stud, I think, this week, even though, again, don't like Baker too much. Who do I start my flex? Flowers or Javonte? This one is tough because I grabbed as much exposure to these 2 players in seasonal fantasy this year as almost any player possible. So I love them both. I might go Flowers in PPR, though.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning Flowers. Javonte still, limited by that little bit of a snap count.
Yeah.
Not super, super excited.
Yeah, it's very clear that Flowers is the number 1 last week. And when Andrews coming back, I think that might help. The Bengals will have to focus a little bit more on Andrews and who's an actual threat, unlike the Isaiah Likely tank job that was last week for everybody who played him. So give me Flowers here and see what he can look like in that offense. Another tight end question today, or a flex question. Do we go Laporta in your flex or Moss in your flex today?
I would actually go Laporta.
Yeah.
I think
there's still a lot of unknown with Moss in this offense for me too, right?
Right. Yeah. We don't know if he's even going to play. That entire backfield, I feel like it's going to be very much committee based. Laporta played so much out of the slot, saw so many targets. He caught every single one of them. I think that he's just the higher upside guy.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Again, Moss is one of those great guys to have on your bench and see what happens this week, because if he plays, great. Now you have a starting running back. If he doesn't, you can just let him go next week. So don't put him in your lineup and not have him play. You at least know Laporta is going to play out there and be the starting tight end for that team. So and no Jamal Adams. Can't overlook that fact. He's not going to be out there. Zay Jones or Shaheed. That's a Jones for me. I don't even care that you're playing Ridley. You can play them both. They were both effective last week in your lineup, so especially against highest game total on the board in Kansas City today. So yeah, go Zay Jones. That's fine. You didn't mind drafting them both, so why not play them both? DJ Moore, Rashid, Dotson, or Elijah. 1 flex, 1 wide receiver.
I mean, Moore is automatic.
Which one? Yeah,
both.
Yeah, both. Yeah, I agree with you. Play both. I'm with you. Both it is. Tommy wants to know, is this a better cast question, Tommy? It might be. Travis Kelce over under 75.5 receiving yards today.
I'm not taking the yardage prop.
Yeah,
I'm not touching that.
I would like to know if he's on a snap count today. I mean, coming off of the hyperextended knee, I mean, are they going to full go him or what's the deal? So I would rather not. I'd go under if I had to pick one, I think. So
I would rather not.
Same thing with Bijan here. These must be better cast questions. Bijan over under 54.5. I'm going over.
Over all the way.
Yeah, over all the way there. And again, I mentioned BetterCast a few times, so why not throw the promo code out there or the QR code here? If you want to get in the game, you can watch, play, win over at BetterCast. Scan the QR code, get an opportunity to win a great prizes here. Answer pregame questions now live. Watch the game with everybody 1, 4, and 8 p.m. Eastern time today. We'll have live questions in the BetterCast app. You can win tickets, which you can redeem for authentic signed gear and jerseys there. It's free to download, free to play. Scan the QR code on the screen, chat, watch the games with us. Myself, Britt, Flinn, Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper, the whole team will be in there chatting up with you guys, having some fun watching the game and answering some trivia questions. Get a head start on the field. Answer those pregame questions that are now live, loaded in the app. And again, I have a feeling some of those questions that Tommy just threw in there might be questions that you'll find in the BetterCast app. So again, scan the QR code on the screen there. Download the free BetterCast app today. No registration or registration. It's free to sign up. That's what it's free to sign up and play. No cost to you guys. So check it out there today. All right, back to questions here. Ann Dunn says morning. Good morning, Ann. We'll get to your questions in a moment as we work our way down. Rob's got a queue here. Bijan is starting for him. He needs to flex. Algier, Pittman, Tony, or Sutton.
I think Algier and Pittman. Yeah, I think you can't dismiss Pittman's snap count and routes run and target share.
So I'll say this. Colby Conway, as you mentioned, has Pittman as his fade. Colby is also a Houston Texans fan. So there could be a little bias there. He does bring up some good points about the coverage. I won't deny him on that. But, given the other options that you have here, Pittman is probably your spot to go. Again, the fade for Pittman is more so in DFS. But when you're in seasonal, Tony for me is too much of a wild card. Sutton with Judy back against Washington, maybe. Algier for sure. So it's up to you there, Rob. I think I could go Pittman or Sutton and feel pretty comfortable with them being pretty similar plays today. So if you like the analysis that Colby gave you, go Cortland. But again, Houston, I'd be willing to give Pittman a look here as well this week. And here we go. Question: Need 2 and Scott Fishbowl today. McKinnon, Zeke, Boyd, Peoples, Jones, or Chigga-Conquo?
Oh, that feels so gross. Oh man, I don't know. DPJ and Chig.
I mean,
is that because
I feel
the offensive line of New England is very, very banged up and questionable.
My only reasoning for maybe Zeke was they did throw to him a lot last week. And we did just see 2 running backs and the Chargers run all over Miami. And the calling card, I think, for the Patriots offense is definitely going to be running the football. The Patriots offensive line has trouble pass blocking, but they can run block pretty well. So, excuse me, I might go DPJ and Zeke this week. I think so. No Patriot fandom there. Just my take on how that offense is going to be running. So that's where I'm going. And I'm going Zeke and DPJ. And I wish I saw more on McKinnon last week, but they just didn't give it to us. They threw to Pacheco. So our guy Fatty McFat's in the chat, also in our Discord. So morning there, sir. Garrett Wilson be sat. Would you play D-Hop?
I don't think D-Hop plays. As far as Garrett Wilson getting sat, I don't think so. But his ceiling is definitely more limited than it was with Rodgers.
I mean, we saw the touchdown catch he made by himself. That's just all pure Garrett Wilson talent. So, he can go out there and still be productive. The one thing we talk about the Cowboys defense a lot, while they have good quarterbacks, those cornerbacks also tend to give up big plays at times. So if he gets behind, there's definitely a chance that he could have himself a day here. And with Javonte, Kelly, or Dotson, needs 2 of them in PPR.
I think you rule out Kelly.
Yeah.
I think that the Titans run D is very solid, and we still just don't really know what he's going to be.
That's what I'm saying. Again, I know everybody who picked up Kelly wants to play him this week because Eckler could be back next week and you feel like maybe you missed out on the fab play. But if Kelly has success this week, just feel confident knowing that we could see this continue. Last week, Eckler and Kelly were both top-notch fantasy plays. So if Kelly has another big week, just feel happy, confident knowing that you have him on your team. But this does not feel like the good spot to start him, even though he's starting here. If he goes out there and gives you 14 carries for 45 yards, you're not going to love it. And I think that's well within the range of outcomes for him here today. So go Javonte and Dotson for me. DeAndre Swift season here says he read your preview and recaps on all the matches. He likes James Cook based off what you wrote up. What are your thoughts on James Cook this week?
Let's go. That's what I'm saying about James Cook. The Buffalo offense is going to be really bound and determined to make up for that very bad loss on Monday Night Football. I think that they have a completely positive game script, and Cook looked good against a pretty good Jets defense. So I think that he's going to have a very good week. Fingers crossed that it comes to fruition. But yeah, I'm riding with you on James Cook there.
Yeah, James Cook is one of the players that I regret not having more exposure in seasonal leagues. I grabbed some near the end, but I grabbed as much Devin Singletary as I could last season because I liked him as lead back in Buffalo. But where Singletary was going in drafts last year versus where Cook was going in drafts this year, there wasn't a similar ADP, so you kind of had to draft Cook a little bit earlier than I wanted to. But I think I'm going to end up regretting that when season comes. Kelly or Higgins in a half PPR? I'm going Higgins here today.
Yep, absolutely.
Dolphins wants to know a cheap GPP play outside of Kelly there in this next question. Listen, I put out a value DFS video on our YouTube, so make sure you check that out. There's a lot of guys that I listed in there, but as I said on the show a few times, I'm in on Josh Reynolds today. He's only $3,700 on DraftKings. I think he's $59, I want to say, on FanDuel, so a really cheap play today. That's where I'm going, and he's contrarian. Everybody's playing Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed is one of the highest expected rostered players in DFS today, and for cheaper than him, you could play Reynolds. So I'm willing to give Reynolds a look today. Craig wants to know in a PPR pick 2, Rachaad White, Raheem Mostert, Pierce, Kirk, Lockett, and Gabe Davis. He's starting Trevor Lawrence, if that matters, the stack with Kirk today.
Oh, I don't know if it matters, but Rachaad White is super inefficient. I think I'm going Mostert and Lockett.
So I'm willing to give Rachaad White one more week because the volume of carries that he had was definitely there last week. Was not an efficient run against Minnesota, that's for sure. And that should maybe be alarming considering what we just saw Philadelphia do against the Minnesota run defense on Thursday. But he did get a ton of touches. So I'll give Rachaad White one more week. And again, I feel like I'm pot committed here on Seattle. I kind of like Lockett. I think that's where I'm going to go this week for me personally. Anne wants to know Nakua, London, Burks, or Algier need to.
Ooh, Burks and Algier for me.
Burks and Algier. Yeah, Burks and Algier for me too. Can't, as sad as it is, can't go London or Nakua if it feels bad, banged up against the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy dad, I'm starting Kelly over Dubs. I'm not feeling great about it. I don't either. Play Dubs. Play Dubs. PPR. Again, I'm not in on Kelly. That's my flag plan this week. I'm in the 3 max in DFS. I'll have one Kelly share just in case because he's $5,000, but I don't like Kelly. Again, Chargers, cross country, Tennessee's run defense I think is okay. Not in on Kelly here. Let's see. Dolphins fan again. 20 team PPR. Mitchell or Roschon?
Oh,
I think it might be Mitchell.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning. But
let's see what the snaps were for him last week.
I know Roschon got some targets, but I don't think it's going to be the same.
Run.
Right. I don't think it's going to be a sustainable situation.
Yeah.
Ooh.
20
teamer?
Mitchell did get 5 carries last week, so okay, not the worst. Only 10 snaps, 5 carries. So when he was on the field, he got there. Oh man, I don't think Roschon didn't see the field until that game was out of hand. That's my problem. But He was good.
Mm-hmm.
He played more snaps. All right, I'll flip. I'll go Roshan, and we'll see. The thing, I'll say this: there's an easier path for Roshan to take over in Chicago than there is for Mitchell to take over at San Francisco. So go Roshan this week, and I'll be praying for you, sir. Fat golfer here wants to know: Christian Watson appears to be out. Would you play Hollywood Brown, Lazard, or Flinn today?
Oh man. Feeling, but it doesn't feel good.
Feeling does not feel good. Yeah, it's probably feeling for me too. But I would agree with you. It's not great. It's not great. Again, I think Tennessee, or I think New Orleans is pretty decent. Better Boss says A Flowers dominates. And done. Is Cooper going to sit? We don't know, Ian. He's going to be tested and questionable today. So if you're worried, you can't play him. So you go Pierce, Javonte, Nakua, or Mooney today.
I'd say Pierce and Mooney, I think.
Yeah. Pierce and Mooney. I might go Javonte over Mooney. I think I go Javonte over Mooney, but I'll play Pierce today, especially if Stroud is out.
Yeah.
Hayes wants to know: pick one, Montgomery or Jamal. I go Montgomery today.
Yeah, I'm still going Montgomery. As much as they say that Gibbs is going to have a role, we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And so Montgomery's still going to get that work for now.
And Deshaun or Russ get QB.
This is gross. Russ.
I'm going to go Russ today as well, especially if Cooper sits. Better Boss says Buck stack Bears D. Listen, Better Boss, Matt, if you watch any of the DFS content videos I put out there today, I am in agreement with you today. I got Evans everywhere. I got some Baker. I got some Godwin. I'm riding that. Last question of the day here. End on wants to know if Diop sits, Nico Cooks, or Cooks might not play. So it's Rashid or Nico for you if you know D-Hop.
Yeah, I think I'm still going Nico. The snap share and the targets are there.
I would agree with you. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. Stay with us. Go listen to Howard and Andrew Cooper on Sirius XM. Then come right back here, 11 to 12, myself and Andrew Cooper for the Game Day Playbook. For Britt and I, we'll talk to you all next week. Good luck, everybody.